beautiful day. But you know what? When you have had childhood abuse and you're an adult, there are just moments where what went on in the past just interrupts the flow of your present experience. And it may interrupt it, but there are ways of moving past it. It may interrupt your relationship. It may interrupt your ability to concentrate. It may interrupt your ability to feel good about yourself and feel worthy or feel loved. It may get in the way of so much because it's whatever sort of poisons you were fed as a child, it becomes a poisons that you have to detox from as an adult. And that doesn't mean that just because you went through it, all of life has to be awful. No, not at all. But there'll be these moments. And for some of us, those moments are longer, harder, more complicated than for others of us. So you want to embrace whatever moment you have that doesn't have that poison in it. And then when those poisons kind of peek their head, I know this sounds painfully Pollyannish, but you want to take that opportunity to say, okay, there you are. I see you. You want to be healed, don't you? It's a little bit like having an internal child inside of you that cries at a moment, and you may not know, what do I do to help this baby not cry? But it is that response of, I want to help this side of me not hurt, not sure exactly how. So I just got off of a podcast with Mary O'Malley, who's a hypnotherapist and a nutritionist, and she also does a lot of spiritual work as well. And I wanted people to hear her many tools and angles as to how to help individuals, because in this program, this whole program called Paths to Recovery After Abuse and Trauma, notice that there's so many paths that you can take. So, for example, in the very moment that some ugliness from your past just hits you and you go, why do you have to get in my way? Say, okay, let me listen to you. Let me understand what you're trying to scream that you need help and healing for now. I'll give you an example because I'm talking kind of abstractly. Let's just say that you're in this wonderful, intimate relationship. You found a really great partner. But your partner says something that to you just feels so cruel, so mean, so how dare you? But to your partner, they truly are innocent. They haven't a clue why what they said just triggered you. They're innocent. Their words, what they said, doesn't mean the same thing as it does to you. And the chances are it means something poisonous to you because it tapped into some poison inside of you that still needs to be detoxified. Okay. So that's the metaphor of today is think of these things as these are poisons in me that make it so I can't hear this ordinary conversation, this ordinary interaction in any way other than the blindness that comes from having suffered child abuse. So your partner says something to you, it triggers something. I'll be even more specific. Let's just say your partner just finds you to be so attractive and would love to have an intimate sexual moment with you. And they say something that reminds you of the person who sexually abused you as a child. That is a clear trigger. Your partner is completely innocent because they're just saying something that in their mind is playful, loving, desirous. But to you, that reminds you of some horrible things that were said to you as a child that led to horrible things that you haven't yet worked through to the entirety of never being triggered, which, by the way, is hard to do. But so there you are. You just said something. Instead of attacking your partner and putting more poison in the current relationship that's actually pretty good, just say, partner, that's a trigger word. I'm going to work that out and then try to go on with what's going on. But later on, at a certain point in time, you want to take that word, that phrase, write it down, saturate it with all the new meanings that it possibly else could have so that it becomes bigger than just the cruel things that were associated to it from your childhood. And then after you've saturated that, you want to do some emotional processing around it that feel sympathy, empathy for what you went through and how that word, even that word was stolen from you. That word or that phrase was poisoned for you. And you want to feel the sorrow that word was poisoned for you and say that word is not going to be poison anymore. Rescue that word. That phrase is not going to be poison anymore. That word exists in the presence in good ways. So I know you're doing what's called a cognitive behavioral self-talk sort of approach. You're also kind of segregating the event in that moment and you're dialoguing with it, which is the dialectic behavioral approach as well. then you also are feeling the emotions about it. So you have this emotional freedom technique that's a part of being able to feel it strongly, know it's there, and then to be able to breathe it out or to tap it out. We could talk about all those sorts of different techniques. Another way of doing it is to be able to hypnotize yourself to say that phrase over and over again and to build wonderful and positive images with your new partner about it, so that those become louder and more dominant in terms of what that message means in your current life and not what it was stolen from you to mean in your childhood. This is just one example. And I'm just trying to choose one simple thing that I don't know occurs often in relationships, so that you as an adult are going to have these triggered moments that are related to poisons associated to being abused as a child. And you want to take it when you're triggered and figure out ways to work it so that it doesn't produce the same anxiety or the same anger, the same fear, the same panic, or the same feeling of being devalued or being harmed, or the anticipation of it, or the same rage and self-defense, because you want to know that you can protect yourself. It's great you get angry on behalf of yourself, but you don't want to attack a person that isn't really responsible for what went on in your childhood. There's so much more to be said about this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to include the link to my interview that I had with Mary O'Malley today down below, so that you can listen to even more aspects of what you can do to heal the child inside you that experienced abuse and now wants to live as an adult, so that you can have this fully present, enjoyable, enriched life as an adult. I wish you the very best. Know that this is one in a whole series of different things related to this, and that no one technique is necessarily the only solution that's out there. There's so many tools, and it's up to you to say, there's so many tools, which ones work for me in this moment? And I'm wanting to participate with you to help you find tools that really will work for you. Take care. Have a great day. Progress. You're wonderful. Bye.